adversity, bring it. The struggle, I welcome it. Snooze on life, never that. I am Dave Regina, and this is the No Snooze Podcast. Come on. Welcome back, No Snooze Podcast, episode 206. As always, I'm in the booth with my brother, Claudio the Voice Valenzuela, and I am Dave the Body Regina. You may be wondering, where's the other guest? But this is all you got today. So I hope you enjoy this one. We're going to do a solo episode, which is something that I do. I want to do it a little bit more in 2025, but the focus of this episode is going to be the word of the year and kind of like my recap of 2024 and what I'm focused on in 2025. I have a challenge for you to discover your own word of the year. And this is not something that you needed to do back in December. Of course, it's great. But really focusing on the word of the year is just an accountability measure. It helps keep you focused and intentional. But we'll talk more about that in a minute. Have some housekeeping stuff. Shout out to all the runners in the world. Okay? And I say that because I did not run. But in 2024, I had mentioned that I was going to do a half marathon. 13.1 bold mother effing miles, CV. Okay?
That's a lot of running.
That's a lot of running. First of all, I didn't run, but it was haunting me. And the thing about personal professional development, one of the negatives is that when you say you're going to do something, you constantly remember this now. So I remember back in May having a conversation with Tommy Pomatico. Shout out to Tommy and the Body Blueprint. And I was like, yo, man, you think I could do this? He's like, oh, absolutely. You got this by fall. That was it. The end of conversation. And then here I go remembering and mentioning to Sean Degnan and Pat Damiano while we were out at dinner, like, yo, it's December 21st. I have 9 days to do this. And they were like, yeah, you're going to crush it. No, I'm not going to crush anything. This is going to be hard. This is going to be challenging. And it's cold outside.
Wait, did you run?
It's wet. I'll tell you in a minute. I'm getting there.
You're leading to I'm thinking you already ran this.
Yeah. Well, listen. So, here we go. Now, I believe it was the last Saturday of the year. Forget the date. And I'm like, you know what, babe? Talking to my girlfriend, Catherine. I'm going to do this today. Here I go out on my hike. And I did 13.1 miles. But I did not run it. I did a walking, jogging version for the first 3 miles and then walked the rest of the way.
But this is a hike.
Not a hike. I did it around my block.
Oh.
Yeah. So I figured out a 1 mile little track around my block.
13 times?
Not 13. Yeah, I did 13.1 miles.
Oh, my God.
And it took me 3 hours and 25 minutes.
That's pretty good.
No, it's not good.
What did you say?
3 hours and 25 minutes, something like that.
Oh.
Dude.
It's not terrible.
It's not that good. But anyway, my point is shout out to the runners because that was the most challenging thing that I've ever done. So the first 8 miles, I was like, oh, I'm actually in pretty good shape here. I'm feeling okay. My body's all right. I'm not doing too much damage to myself.
It wears on you, right?
Bro.
When you put it in
9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm doing this in Nike Freeze, by the way.
Oh, my God.
In the pitch dark, wet, cold, nasty. And my phone was dying. So I had to turn off my podcast. I only listen to the No Snooze podcast. I don't know about you guys. I turned off my podcast, and now I'm just talking to myself. You got this. You're soft. You got this. You're soft. You can't finish this. These are all the things that are going through my head. Oh, you said you were going to do it. Nobody's going to know if you tap out. Just post a picture, say you did 13.1, blah, blah. But then I'm measuring it on my Whoop, too, right? I want to show you a little video, and we can add this in. Look at my foot, CV.
Does it look like Goggins?
Look at this.
Oh.
Dude, you see this? You see this little video here?
Yeah, I saw blood.
Yeah. it looked like I actually ran these 13.1 miles. So my point is,
I mean, not the best selection of shoes.
I mean, I know my toes were done.
Well, they usually say like runners' feet are terrible.
Well, this was Walker's feet. So if Walker's feet is bad, I can only imagine. But, the point is I said that I was going to do this, and I had to do it, and no one would have known if I didn't do it.
But does it technically count if it wasn't a marathon per se? You just made your own marathon.
Oh, yeah. No, I didn't say that I was going to like enlist in a marathon or something like that. I just committed to doing 13.1 miles. Right?
I did that in a year.
In a what?
In a year.
In a year. 1 mile a month.
Hey.
Yeah, man, it's really, really hard. But, these things like these, because there's no point to it, right? Besides committing to something, saying you're going to do it, and then following up. And I got to be honest with you, I felt a huge relief when I finished. But I literally had to limp into my house. Like, that's how, like, challenged I was. And, like, I find myself in good physical shape. And this was the hardest thing that I've ever done physically. And I literally walked the last 10 miles. And I probably gassed myself on the first, 2.5, 3 miles by like jogging and walking. I was doing like 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off.
Were you running like to try and make time, or
dude? I mean,
you just jogging
no,
like a casual jog?
I was just like, look, I did a mile. The first mile I think I did in like 11 minutes, and the next one I did it in like 10, 30, right? So I wasn't like sprinting by any means, but I would walk a little bit. But then, dude, by the last mile. I mean, the last half a mile took me 15 minutes because by that time I was limping. My hip hurt, my knee hurt.
Yeah, everything starts to
It
hurt.
was bad, bro. It was really, really,
and it doesn't
really
help
bad.
that it's probably been like cold,
Dude.
and that doesn't really help with
Horrible.
all those little ailments. If you had to do it over, what
I would do it in the summer.
Well,
That's for
that's
sure.
a good one, yeah,
For sure.
like in the evening,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
But would you like change like your shoes?
Definitely
like,
my shoes, man.
yeah?
Like people.
What made you go out and freeze? Because those sneakers are not
Nike
comfortable
Frees
for
are like
that
the
stuff.
barefoot, right?
Yeah,
It's like a
that
little bit
is.
more than barefoot, but
That's good for like a quick jog or like, but not to go like 13
yeah,
miles.
I didn't really like put too much thought into it. I was just like, I'm gonna do it. I don't have the running shoes anyway. It's already the end of December. Like, am I gonna go buy a new pair of running shoes and like, probably on the first run anyway, it's gonna suck because they're uncomfortable shoes anyway, right? So I was like, let me just get this done, and I kind of got in the mode, and I did it after the gym. So I did my workout and then, did that. And I felt like a savage. I got to be honest. That was one of the good things about it. Like, I did feel, and this was for nobody but myself, like, I did feel like, yo, you're that guy. Like, you're that dude. You do what you say you're going to do. And that to me means a lot.
It's fulfillment.
You know what I mean? But yeah, man, extremely hard.
Was it at least a nice day, a sunny day?
Bro, it was pitch black.
Oh, wait, you did it at night?
Pitch black. I started at 3 o'clock. It gets dark at like 4:45. So by 5 o'clock, now the fog wants to happen. Thank God my girlfriend got me this hat with a little light on it, a beanie that I was actually able to use. My boys were busting my chops.
You were
First
that
of all,
guy?
Shout out Nick Menente because he actually got the same hat. And God bless Nick Menente and Nahal. They had a beautiful baby girl. So shout out to them.
Yes, congratulations.
First time parents. But Nick actually does this stuff. Like, he runs outside like pretty typically, right? So he saw that I got the hat, so he sends a nice little video like, yo, Dave, we got the same hat. And then he follows up with like, Dave, what are you going to use that hat to like go to the bathroom in the middle of the night? Insinuating that like I'm not about that life and I'm not outside. So Nick Menente, I was outside, my brother. I did 13.1 in my beanie light, okay?
That's funny.
But that beanie light was serious. And honestly, yo, up in Yorktown, there's no street lights.
Yeah, no, I know.
Like, this is not like, I grew up in Mount Vernon, New York, where there's some lights.
It's the sticks
You know what I'm
out
saying?
there.
Yeah, it's so
You
there was
probably hung
nothing.
out with some deer.
And then I'm hearing like, how? And I'm like getting shook. And I didn't have a stick with me, nothing. And then by the end, bro, literally, I was just kept walking past my house. I needed like 0.3 miles. And I just kept walking past my house, back and forth, because by that time I'm
That's
limping.
like torture.
I'm limping, bro. It was like so stupid, but I don't know. I needed to come on here and let you people know. If you remember that I said I was going to do it, I did it. Okay. Another shout out to Life Church in Mamaroneck, New York. I've been searching through my own little faith journey, a home church, right? Like trying to figure this thing out. Katie and I have been talking, and we really want to go to church, but here I go coming up with all the excuses. Oh, it's 45 minutes this way, it's 45 minutes back, plus an hour service. Like, the whole day's gone. But I really did want to go. So shout out to Wayne Francis, great pastor, delivered an incredible message, which I'll tell you about. But also shout out to Amanda Herdman from Boundless Nutrition, which did an episode just recently with her. She was the one that's been telling me, oh, you guys got to check it out. You and Katie would love it. So anyway, we went with Callie. They have different age rooms for the children to do different activities in while the parents are in the service. We didn't do it the first time because I wanted to kind of get a feel for, the vibe. So we did some worship in the beginning. It was like 3 or 4 songs, really just great energy, great community. And I encourage anybody in the Westchester area that's looking for a Christian-based church to come check it out, because that's going to be my home church in 2025 and hopefully beyond. Hopefully as I get a little bit more into my journey, Wayne, if you need me to come speak for you, if you're sick or something like that, like I got you, my brother. All right. So his message, was really about self-devotion. And for those who were like, I don't really want to go to church, that was me. That's kind of still me. But when you're able to relate it, and Joel Osteen really does this really well, he ties this to personal and professional development. So Wayne's message was like all about self-devotion. And, it's cool to be able to commit to something, because I went on January 5th, which was the first Sunday. He's like, look, it's a packed house. We have people like down the street. We're denying people here. He's like, I'll see you guys on August 5th. And that's how like we operate our goals, right? Because the point of what he was saying is like August 5th, there's going to be plenty of seats, hopefully not, but we don't commit and we don't devote to ourselves the way that we say we're going to do. So the beginning of the year is the perfect opportunity, to change some things. So he had a little formula, and me and my words, like I like simple 4 to 55 step things. But when you're trying to devote to something, he recommended reading, studying, meditating, and incorporating, right? So when you first read, like talk about the Bible, right? It's my job now to read the Bible. I do it every day. Now, not only am I supposed to read that, but now I'm supposed to dive a little bit deeper and study that. You could tie this to anything. Tie it to mechanics, becoming a plumber, lifting weights, being a parent. So after you read it, you study it. Then after you study it, there should be points throughout the day that you're thinking about it. Now, when you're thinking about it, that's what he's calling meditating on it, right? So sitting quietly, kind of thinking about what it is that you just read, how you improved yourself and you studied a little bit more. And then the final step was incorporate it into your life. Take action on it. Read, study, meditate, incorporate. Great word on self-devotion. So yeah, Jeff definitely wanted to share that. CV, are you on the microphone, my brother? You on the mic loud and clear?
I am.
I don't know if you can enter some like screaming, some clapping, some whatever it is.
I believe so.
So if you can do that, I think right now is the time. Maybe a little drum roll, please. But
we're clapping. Right now we're clapping.
There we go, baby. Our 2024 wrap-up for our podcast through Spotify. These numbers were incredible, and shout out to you guys. We just want to say thank you for your incredible support. We were streamed in 27 new countries this year. We are a top 10% of podcasts. Our videos were watched 321% more in 2024 versus 2023. We had a 197% increase in listeners, an 81% increase in streams, and a 36% increase in followers. So CV, that's an incredible accomplishment. Shout out to you, my brother.
That's awesome, man.
For locking in and showing up. You know what's crazy, man, is I was actually concerned. We had some time off in 2024.
Yeah.
But I guess what it did was allow people to like dive into some older episodes and still keep it going. But
I think it actually created a reason for people to miss you. Because as everyone gets into their routines, and podcasting must be the same thing. I mean, it is the same thing.
Yep.
We all know it because you're accustomed to listening to the same thing, especially if you're in that routine. And when all of a sudden it doesn't come back at the same time that it was supposed to, it's like, oh, what's going on?
Yes.
And you can get over like a week, a couple of weeks, but we actually went a little bit longer.
16 weeks.
Yeah, we went a little bit longer.
It's like 4 months.
So that kind of cultivates that, like, oh man, I miss these guys. Where are they? And you start kind of longing for it.
Yeah.
So especially if you're somebody that is passionate about listening and you really like to listen. So I think it was a demand thing. So good stuff.
Crazy.
Speaks volumes.
It does. But then you also think about the reality. Like I said off air to CV, I said, did your life change? Because mine didn't. But thank you.
Not yet.
Thank you guys very much. All right, let's jump into the episode. And for those of you on YouTube, I'm not really concerned with making eye contact with you today because I do want to deliver the message and make sure that I'm hitting my notes here. But we do have two angles here. CV, switch it. Bang. Look at that. You see see, Erwin, my barber, side note, I have ADHD, I think. He always gets mad when he sees my videos, man, because I get my haircuts on Fridays, right? And so by the time we're recording, I'm already like due for my next one. So shout out Erwin's Barbershop in White Plains. I'm gonna do better and start coming twice a week so you can get me right. This concept of choosing a word of the year, I don't want you to think about this as a goal, but more of like a guiding principle that shapes your intentions for the entire year. It's something that I've been doing. We've been doing it on a podcast like 4 years now. But it's something that I've been doing in my personal life for about 7, I believe. And it's just something in personal, professional development that helps keep you focused. It helps align your values, and it serves as like a touchstone. You like that word, CV? Touchstone. I'm going to start using that.
That's a great word.
Touchstone, right? A touchstone to return to during times of conflict, times of difficulty, times of adversity, because a lot of times it's hard to think about that like long mission statement you have or that mantra that you have. So if you can just simplify it to a word, it's something that has been extremely helpful for me.
I have a question before you
Yes,
even
sir.
start. This is how, throughout the years, and I know you've done this now for at least with me for a few years now, right? Where you give your word of the year and the year begins.
Yep.
The year is long. The year is 12 months, a whole bunch of days in between, a whole bunch of weeks.
Yes.
How do you keep that word relevant as the weeks start passing, as the months start passing? As we all know, life happens. And, you tend to forget, maybe not forget, well, forget definitely in that moment, maybe not in the long run. But how do you kind of ground yourself to go back to remembering, hey, that was my word? And it's kind of what you're saying, that touchstone, right? Was a word. How do you do that?
So now I'm at a different place than I was 5, 6, 7 years ago because I've also attached it to my mission statement, which is something that I say to myself every morning. But I also attached it to the app on my phone, so I read my mission statement every morning, and in my mission statement, that word is there, right? So I'm now kind of at like a next level, but at the beginning of this, I remember I wrote it down. I don't know if you remember, but I had it in my office. I actually just wrote it on the board in my office, so I had it there, and I had a couple of Post-it notes, like in the important places of my life. I kept one in my car, one in my bathroom, but then somebody would throw it out, so then I had to make a new one. But you're not intentional about it every day at the beginning, right? It's kind of like when you first start a new routine or a new journey or something like that. But then when you start to really like go through a tough time and you try it the first time and you actually see like, I actually said to myself like, okay, this year my word of the year is focus. Like I need to be a little bit more focused, right? Like you just become what you practice. So I think for somebody who's going to do this for the first time,
Right.
they should take that word and place it in some important places in their life, right? Their car, put it on the background of your phone, text it to yourself, keep it in a note. And the more you actually write it down, the more you're going to put it to the forefront of your mind. Does that make sense?
No, that's awesome. I was thinking, I mean, I guess if I had to just give you an answer, I would have thought about an answer on the spot. But now hearing it from you, it's like, it makes, first of all the sense in the world.
Yep.
And I'm like, damn, I wish I would have thought of that. Because I think in a way, some people, most people, everyone, I don't know, everything in between, will have some kind of a direction every year. I think it's in human nature to want to strive for better, but I think it's very often forgotten very quickly because you'll say it in the beginning of the year, like I wish this from this new year, blah blah blah, and for the first couple of weeks, maybe even couple of months, you might be focused and driven to your thought, to that ideal, But then again, as the year as life happens, you tend to kind of forget it. And that's why I asked the question.
Yep.
And now hearing like your method, I'm going to adopt it. I got to be honest, because I, naively enough, I hadn't thought of that answer, and I like it. And I'm not one to, do those little things, like write little messages or kind of reminders. I'm very organic, I guess, in the way my brain operates. So I kind of go with the flow. So I almost look against that. Like I want it to be a natural thing in my natural habit, But I like that. So I think I love it.
This is no shade to you, so don't take it. But if the shoe fits, wear it. Put it on the refrigerator.
I don't like putting anything on the fridge anymore.
Put it on the refrigerator and put it by the coffee machine. Like those places where put it in your bathroom mirror, where you spend time and you're going to just see it over and over again. It's going back to base level, right? Like it's the foundation of now what you're
I think I'm going to put it right here in the studio.
Absolutely.
This is the one thing I see every single day consistently, right here on this monitor. Nobody can see this, but right in this monitor, because you can see it every single day.
And you're down here in your office all the time.
Yes,
so that makes sense. Are you looking to elevate your brand with captivating visuals and immersive sound? Look no further than the home of the No Snooze podcast, Kai Visions Productions, your go-to destination for cutting-edge audio and video production. At Kai Visions, we don't just create content, we create experiences that leave a lasting impact. From podcasts, YouTube variety shows, sleek corporate videos, to attention-grabbing promotional campaigns, our team of experts is dedicated to turning your vision into reality. Choose Kai Visions for a production experience like no other. It's time to make your brand known. Contact us today at kaivisions@gmail.com or find us on Instagram at Kai Visions. Kai Visions Productions, where audio-visual excellence meets innovation. Now, back to the Epi. So I'll give you a quick recap. Last year, my word was undeniable. And what I did was I attached undeniable, right? I wanted to be undeniable as a father, undeniable as a businessman, undeniable in my fitness journey, undeniable in everything that I did, because I felt like my life really wasn't in alignment, right? Like the fitness pillar, I was kind of like, I was established there, but like my relationships needed work, like my finances needed work, like a lot of things and decisions I was making needed work. But I've attached it to my mission statement, which my mission statement for the year was to live in alignment and become the most consistent and undeniable version of myself as a father, businessman, partner, man of faith, and motivator. So that was my mission statement last year. So as I went through the year, right, I focus on my 4 main pillars, which is also in my executive leadership coaching program. I focus on faith, fitness, family, and finances. Those are the 4 main pillars that I score myself on. And I do them out of 10. But with faith, I started reading the Bible that was gifted to me by my girlfriend. I applied the faith-based teachings into my life many times, and I've incorporated more faith-based sermons into my daily life for a deeper connection with God, right? And I also attach my 1 full year of not drinking to my faith journey. So when I look at that, I believe I was like an 8 out of 10 on my faith, right? Last year, my entire score for the year was a 7.4. And I know that because I went back and listened to episode 170 of the No Snooze podcast. But, there's always room for improvements, right? So my improvement for 2025 needs to be not missing the amount of days that I actually missed. So although I did a great job, there was still plenty of weekends that I didn't read, plenty of days that I didn't really show up. So yes, it was an extreme jump from the previous year, but I still have a lot to work on. There's that statistic out there that I love, 5 out of 7 is what percentage? You got a calculator on your CV? Yeah. Like 70% or no? 5, what do you do? 5 divided by 7? Yeah, 71%. So if you just do something 5 days a week, that's only a 71% average. That's not that good. So I need to raise my level, right? And I need to consistently be doing things. And you, as you're listening to this, you need to start thinking of the things that you do consistently 5 days a week. And if you can stretch it to make it 6, that's a huge jump. And maybe it's not for the same duration of time that you do in the 5, but there's always room to improve and increase. Next up was my family. I took the depth of my relationship with my daughter, Callie, to a completely new level. I think a lot of it has to do with her being 4 now, being self-sufficient. She's able to do things on her own. But she's my best friend. And the conversations and the level of conversations that I was having with her intentionally throughout the year is something that I'm extremely proud of. I was blessed with finding my beautiful girlfriend. We started dating actually at the beginning of 2024. And, you know, she has brought so much joy and stability into my life. And the alignment that she brings is just something that I'm incredibly grateful for. But it's also something that I wasn't ready for prior. You know, I had a couple years of going through some personal issues, which a lot of you guys know. But they do say when God really wants to bless a man, he brings that man an incredibly strong woman. And that's what he did for me. So I look at that as a huge win in 2024. Now, my improvements are grand. I got to focus more on my patience, which is something that I'm saying like a little bit too often, and I'm getting pissed off with myself that I keep saying the same things over and over again. But I need to be better with my patience and my presence, right? I need more one-on-one time with Callie, and specifically keeping the same intention at 9 p.m. at night that I have with her at 4 p.m. when I get her out of school. My days are very long, right? But that's no excuse to not have patience with my child, right? If she doesn't go to sleep on the first go round, like instead of me kind of raising my voice, I have to be a little bit more empathetic and understanding towards her. The other day, you know, I told her something twice. She didn't listen to me. So I snatched the iPad out of her hand. And she looked at me and she was like, I'm so sad that you snatched that out of my hand. That was really rude. It's like a high school kid talking to me. But that hurt me because I was like, wow, I should have. And I know she didn't listen, right? And I am a little old school with my discipline. But also, you know, there was definitely different ways for me to handle that situation. Maybe she didn't hear me on the first time because she was listening to her iPad. So those are the things that I definitely, you know, want to work on. And then something that, you know, Katie's been open with me about, I think I shared it on an episode, is the presence. You know, and a lot of guys, we say this, but, you know, she was able to be very specific with me. She's like, look, you're here right now, but there's too many conversations that I have that I'm thinking about other things in the moment. So my presence in that given moment and in that conversation, I need to be able to be a little bit more locked in because there's too many times that she'll say something to me or anybody, even in business, and I'm not like recalling it because I wasn't intentional about being present in the moment. So my patience and presence is something that I could definitely improve. But overall, an 8 out of 10 on the year for my family and, you know, my relationships. I also, for an improvement for 2025, I want to go on a family vacation with my siblings and their significant others. I see too many families out there doing it, and I think it's awesome. But it's something that like we've never really done. So Matt and Danielle, Pat and Diana, we're going on a vacation together, 2025. All right, put it in the books. Fitness. I was able to really change my style of fitness. I added new routines, mobility warm-ups, incorporated kettlebell workouts, assault bike sessions, which now I'm obsessed with. I actually have one in my home. My girlfriend bought me one for Christmas. It's the best and the worst gift I've ever received. Go ahead, Stevie. You got to.
Is this different from the Peloton?
Yes, different from the Peloton.
So now you have 2 bikes?
Yeah, but I don't use a Peloton anymore. No, that's like a stationary thing. That just, it's laundry.
It's the hold the laundry.
Yeah, it holds the laundry.
So what is the assault bike?
So the assault bike is a self-propelling bike. So there's a fan on it that you think is there to cool you off. That shit ain't there to cool you off, my brother. that is there to ignite the engine, right? So you're using your arms and you're using your legs, and they call it assault. I mean, listen, that's the perfect name for it. Assault fitness is something. I have the Rogue version, which is like the CrossFit style of the bike, but it's a self-propelling bike. Like you don't like hit start and like follow anything. You could do different workouts, but it's a terrible workout. Really good for you though.
Yeah, now that you said it, I've seen it. I didn't really understand. I mean, I understand it was for resistance. But,
Yeah. That fan.
I don't think I've ever been on one.
Resistance. Don't introduce.
Maybe to get a fan, like if you're standing next to somebody doing
exactly.
it.
Yeah, I when I do it in the gym, sometimes I see people come over and stretch right next to it because it gives a nice fan.
breeze, right?
Yeah. But a huge shout out to my brother, Pat Damiano, for really increasing my knowledge of what functional fitness really is. So now I've just incorporated so many different things besides the traditional weights, and I do my calisthenics, but the kettlebells, I'm really like finding my own style of fitness. And it's because I've opened myself up to a whole new world of taking knowledge in from others, but Pat specifically. I also attribute that 1 year of sobriety. That's something that like really falls into all pillars of my life. But in fitness, I think I was able to really lock in a little bit more and, kind of just feel a little bit better. And, I'm associating that to fitness too. My improvement for 2025 will be to prioritize my sleep and recovery. And now this is something that like I have said in the past about the recovery stuff, but I'm really measuring the data now, right? Like I wear the Whoop, which I highly recommend, but also this thing gives you a low level of anxiety because when you see that your recovery is at 20%, 10%, 1%, you're like, damn, do I feel like that? But although it may not be the most accurate thing in the world, I do think data controls a lot of things. So I'm listening to my body more. And in 2025, I'm getting older, man. Like, I'm no spring chicken. Yeah, I'm 35 years old. But I see CV making a face back there. But like I'm not getting any younger. But just because I'm not getting any younger doesn't mean that I can't get better, right? So I'm committed to just continuing to elevate my health, my wellness. I have my Crohn's disease under control, which is great. But there's so many different things that, I just need to be a little bit more mindful of as you age. I listened to a phenomenal podcast, by the way, Ed Milet and Peter Diamandis. And it was all about longevity and where we're going. And becoming a centurion, right, somebody who lives 100 years or more, is going to be very prevalent starting in, they say, by like 2030 to 2040. So the goal for a lot of people, especially in your 50s, 60s, and 70s, and speaking of the No Snooze podcast listeners, CV, I don't know if you actually looked at the 2024 wrap up. We had a 900% increase in ages, in listeners ages 55 and up. So I don't know if there was no listeners prior that are 55 and up, but now we actually have listeners, which is pretty dope.
I called on my friends. I got you.
There you go. There you go. But the point is, like, right now, if you're 40, 50, 60, like, you just have to live the next 10 years to be able to receive that new technology that's going to become available now. Right now, it's available to the billionaires. But it's going to become so readily available to all of us. It's a sad statistic. Right now, you have your health span and you have your lifespan. Your lifespan is when your heart stops beating. That average is at like 76 years old. Your health span is when your body starts to feel unhealthy, right? And like now life becomes like a burden. That is at age 63. So from 63 to 76, your life is not that great right now. But with technology and everything that's coming available to us, we're going to become much healthier, and that lifespan is actually going to increase along with the health span into our hundreds, which is mind-blowing to think about right now. But it's not really that crazy when you think about like years ago when we were talking about like, oh, a car can't drive itself. And now look.
Now they're driving around people without them wanting to stop.
Exactly. So I gave myself an 8 out of 10 on fitness too, man.
I mean, I'm not surprised there. I mean, you're very regimented when it comes to your fitness and what you like to do.
Regimented reg, if you will.
Regimented reg. I would like to see more of the days off part of that for you.
Yeah.
How did you score there?
What, days off? I actually didn't count my workout days this year. I can get it because I have the Whoop now, but I didn't put any pressure on myself.
Were you mindful to take days off?
You know,
because I know that's been a problem for you. That's something. But
also,
don't like
my body. I don't know if it's the not drinking thing. My body didn't hurt as much this year, and also the mobility piece, right? Like me, like getting a little bit more agile and being able to actually touch my toes and stretch and.
But that's
do
a
these
double-edged sword because if you feel better, which is a great thing, right? Because you're doing things that are helping. Let me change the camera for you. Yep. Look at that guy.
Hey, look at that.
If you're feeling better, knowing you the way I know you. That only means that you're going to probably work out harder, train harder, because now there's almost like you've unlocked a level of like endurance or strength or whatever. Still doesn't answer the question. And I'm gonna put you to that.
Yeah,
the days off for you is the one thing I think that you don't give yourself enough of. I know you have this mentality that's almost like a bad thing that you need to, but at the end of the day, as you're getting older, as you're working out with the vigor that you do, days off are something that's going to do good for you.
I mean, if I had to go look back, I would say that I probably took on average like 2 to 3 days off per month, which is a big jump because there was a year that I took 5 days off in the whole year.
Yeah, that's wild. That's not a lot.
You know what I'm saying?
That's not that good.
But my body feels good. So like,
that's because you're young.
I've
you're
also
supposed
changed.
To feel good.
Nah,
you're
man.
feeling,
like,
I think, the age that you're supposed to be.
I didn't feel good.
Well, it's because you were pushing in such a demand, such a strength, and really not taking care of your body. So that's why you didn't feel good. But I think now you're finally starting to reach the, the feeling like you're supposed to feel at 35, which naturally at 35 you should feel pretty good. Whether you work out or not work out. So I think now you're kind of catching up to that. But I think like the days off thing is a good thing for you. I mean, 2 or 3 days a month. I mean, it's not 5 days a year,
right?
So it's a good thing. But yeah, man, that's the thing that you need to get up to at least once a week.
Yeah, and I'm not really concerned with the off days per se, but me going to the gym, getting a 20-minute cardio workout in, followed by a 20-minute sauna session.
No, that's great.
That's
stuff.
like a recovery.
Oh,
day.
That's awesome.
You know what I'm saying?
That can still count.
Yeah.
But I know you.
Yeah.
And you go for that.
The problem is I get there and I'm like, I'm gonna do 5 sets of pull-ups, and then the 10, and then I see people looking at me, and I'm like, oh, I could do more now.
Your warm up is like most people's like week like a workout.
I have been listening to that though, so I have this. It's probably a little tendonitis in my elbow from all the pull-ups that I do. So when I do feel that, I tend to shut the pull-ups down for like a day or two. Which has definitely been. Yeah, I'm definitely more mindful of it. But yeah, I mean, my weight is about right now. Well, yesterday I got on a scale. I was 237. So I've lost some pounds too. I was up to like 245.
That's also probably the drinking too.
Yeah, for sure. And I really feel just clearer.
That's awesome, man.
By not drinking, and it's just something that like. I don't know. I don't know why it was such an important part of my life, and I didn't get to this clarity earlier. But there's no, for me, and this is only for me. I'm not telling people to do this by any means, so I hope it doesn't come off that way. Because again, I drank more than most people would probably drink in their lifetime, all throughout my 20s and into my 30s. So I hope and I struggle with this because I never wanted to come off like, oh, now he thinks he's too good.
I think it's unfortunate because I think that it's almost like a rite of passage as young people are developing. And, I mean, just think about like when you started drinking. There's probably like a friend that was doing it that guy kind of was like, oh, you want to do this? Or you're seeing that everyone around you is doing it, so you kind of want to jump in.
Yep.
It's literally a rite of passage. And then you do it. And then you do it for a while. And then there comes a crossroads in your life where it's like, is this, what's this doing for me? Or you get to the other side of that coin, which is like I'm kind of addicted to it, and it's almost like part of my normalcy, because at the end of the day, when you think of this rationally, drinking does nothing for you other than maybe make you forget certain things, maybe like numb you. Again, nothing that's even positive, because you're just putting a Band-Aid over whatever it is that you're trying to like kind of obscure,
When's the last time you had a drink?
I don't know. trying to think. I mean, probably on New Year. I had like a
Oh, like champagne.
so
or something?
yeah. So I
You've
don't
never really been a like big drinker.
No, I was.
Yeah.
Anyone that knows me that probably hears or whatever will know that my college years were kind of,
Yeah,
we're on
well,
like
yeah.
everybody on the
Yep,
heavy side,
yep.
But no, I really don't drink really anymore. I drink occasionally with my friends. The summertime I'm a social drinker.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really, like I said, I'm not seeking it. So I don't really drink that much. And when I am in social settings, I'll have, one or two, and then I kind of like stop because again, it's not something that and this kind of happened some time back, and I just came to the realization that it wasn't really doing anything for me. No, and I just kind of like put it to the side because on top of that, it makes you bloated, it makes you more fat, it makes you that. So it was kind of like not really.
Yeah.
So I kind of just chopped it off, and every now and then, and when I'm with my friends, I'll enjoy with them, a little bit.
Cerveza.
Yeah, or something. And, and I'm not going to lie, though, there are times that,
big
like,
cerveza.
There's always a time where, like, it touches your lips and it, like, flows so smoothly.
I don't miss that.
But even then, like, I don't crave it. I don't think about it.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't want to do it anymore. But when those times come, I'll have one or two. And
that's kind of, I wish I was like that. But yeah, I don't think anybody should put pressure on yourself. Like if it's something you want to try, cool. I don't think you need to commit to a duration of time. I tend to just be extreme with things. So like I just committed to another year, like whatever. I'm like, that's how I roll.
Yeah.
But I was listening back to, episode 170, like I had mentioned. And in that episode, I was just talking about dry January at that time, and it was a really big thing for me. You remember, like I've struggled with it, man. And I really did. But, I also think like my relationship, with Katie definitely helped because she just happened to not drink as well. Like, so I don't know if I've said this.
Well, there's no reminders, and that's also like a little bit helpful because at least you're not
absolutely.
Like there's no one putting it in your face.
Right. And I don't know if I've mentioned this on the podcast, but when we first went out on our first like official date, I had anxiety about like reconnecting with a woman from college. And all those years passed, not having a drink. And I was like, damn, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? Like, maybe I'll just crack. It was only the middle of, like, January at that time.
So on your guys' first date, you did not drink?
No. So the waiter came, and I knew about it, but we didn't talk about it before. I didn't know that she wasn't drinking. So the waiter comes over and is like, what would you like to drink? And she was like, I'll take a virgin mojito. I was like, thank you, God. And I was like, wow, why did you just do that? She's like, oh, I haven't really drank in, like, a year. I'm like, really? Like I'm 16 days in, So yeah, like it definitely helped. And now, man, like I look forward to. Has anyone ever heard of the show Grey's Anatomy?
My man, that's probably one of the most. I've never watched it.
Am I old?
That's one of the most popular.
I'm being sarcastic, but
I've never watched it, but I know it exists.
But 20 seasons. The show is fire.
Oh my God!
If it doesn't work out, listen, I'll tell you right now. If it doesn't work out between this leadership stuff, like whatever's going on with local government, like if all this stuff, I'm going back to become a surgeon because the life that they live is crazy. And I like that gory stuff, but it is an incredible show. So like I look forward now to sitting down. I'll pour us some seltzer and I mix in some lime and lemon. And light some candles, put a fire on, and I'm watching Grey's Anatomy, my brother. Like this is like the highlight of my life.
If you could sit on this side and like just remember like the first few episodes, my repertoire of movies was like 3. Yeah. And now we're sitting here like this is part of your
another great show.
Your daily
is this cup is the best, by the way.
Oh my God.
It's the Sons of Anarchy.
That is the greatest show.
It is. But that show is incredible. Look, it's got a strap on it too.
Come on, man. That's not something we show on TV.
But yeah, man. So my priorities just really changed, man, and it's just something that works for me right now. I do feel like the overall reflection of my year was a successful year, with room for improvement for sure. But I give myself an 8 out of 10 on the year, which is an increase from the 7.4. And this is the first year that I feel like I have not made major mistakes.
That is probably the biggest, like, and not
my
not
life,
to you, but I'm not even speaking to you specifically, right? But if you on any person that can go through a year with limiting,
I said major mistakes,
limiting,
major like life altering mistakes,
because that's a big thing.
Because I've been known to make some pretty rash decisions that affect a lot of things in my life, whether that be a relationship, whether that be financially, in business. Like I'm a risk taker in that regard. But for this year, like, I definitely made mistakes for sure, but they weren't like life-altering mistakes, which is something that, like, now I'm just creating a new standard for myself. You know what I mean? Like, I don't expect to come back here next year and be like, yo, I just effed this up. Like, yeah, if I take a business risk and that fails.
Now it's
okay,
going to become your
different.
standard.
Exactly. And that's what this is all about, you know? It's about, like, creating a personal standard. And, you know, just to be very clear, like, I think everybody should have a personal standard of excellence. Whatever that looks like for you in your life, don't be okay with mediocrity. You know, like, that's the typical standard in America. Like, we're just mediocre people, and that's, like, cool. But it's not cool. Like, find something that you want to excel in your life and create the framework, right? That word framework is extremely important to me now because I feel like I finally have, like, a framework that works for me. And you need to find that framework that works for you. This episode is brought to you by Whitaker Garage Doors, your one-stop shop for all things garage doors, proudly based in Peekskill, New York. Your home is a direct reflection of your personal style. And let's face it, your garage doors are the first thing people see when they pull up your driveway. Whether you're looking for the timeless charm of a classic carriage house door or the clean, sleek look of a basic wood finish, Whitaker Garage Doors offers traditional options for every taste and budget. I can personally vouch for their incredible service. When I had my own garage doors done, I was blown away by their timeliness, professionalism, and overall respect for their clients. Jonathan, Cassara, and their entire team are top-notch, and they really go the extra mile to ensure you're happy with the final result. So if you're in the market for a new garage door or need some repairs, give them a call or find them on Instagram at Whitaker_doors. Don't forget to tell them you're a friend of Dave's over at the No Snooze podcast. Whitaker Doors. You won't regret it. Now, back to the epi. So without further ado, my 2025 word of the year.
Let's go. Oh, do we have a drum roll? I'm going to have to go find a drum roll.
Enter that drum roll, please. My 2025 word of the year is expand. And I chose that word because the definition of expansion is simple. Increase in size, increase in number, increase in importance, which in my case is everything in my life, right? So expansion and expanding is a process of growth, which I believe we're all on the path of trying to grow. It's about stretching the boundaries, reaching for new heights. If you're listening to this podcast, yeah, you might like my voice and CV's voice, but the reality is you want to grow as well, right? And I think expansion is extremely important to me because it's essential for continued progress in every aspect of my life. It's cool to make progress in one thing, but now I'm like addicted to expanding all aspects of my life, right? I think it's about getting out of my comfort zone a little bit more, embracing new opportunities and being available for the opportunities that are coming my way, and overcoming any of the previous limits in 2024 and prior. I think this world is constantly evolving, right? We were just talking about like some health stuff and where we're going. And the reality is, if we don't expand, we are falling behind. It's a fact. This is not just me saying this. The world is moving forward. So if you're not moving forward with the world, what's happening? You're getting left behind, right? You may not be going backwards, but you're still getting left behind. And I think I'm at a place now where I truly understand, and I believe that personal growth can only happen if I'm actively pushing my limits, expanding the mindset, and improving every single day. This is not like a weekly thing. This is not a monthly thing. This is not an annual thing. For me, I need to expand every single day. So I challenge you, yes, you, listening to me, looking at me, to choose your own word of the year. Take some time. You don't need to rush it, but choose a word that resonates with you. right? Some good words are discipline, consistency, impact, knowledge, love, humility, growth. The words don't have to be crazy words. One year I chose nourish. Remember that? And everyone was like, what the hell is that word? But I wanted to nourish my mind, nourish my soul, nourish my relationships. Everyone was like, nourish, yo. Like that's like the trash. That's like the worst word ever. Nourish. Like, what's your word of the year?
It's not though. I mean, if you think about it.
But I have to explain it, right?
We all need nourishment.
When you hear nourish, you're like, wait, what? But yeah, I wanted to feed my mind, body, and soul. So I chose nourish. Right. So like there's no bad word is my point. Like I chose nourish, bro. Like that's a pretty bad word.
Well, the good thing is there's always more years, new years. So even though that maybe wasn't the best word,
right?
It's in the past now, and you'll remember it.
Exactly. But I think the focus again needs to just be on growth, man. Like grow in your relationships, right? Like it doesn't have to just be a significant other or a partner. Like grow in your own personal relationships, grow in your career, grow in your health, grow in personal, professional development. It's a beautiful, beautiful journey. And, just the easy way to apply the word of the year, right? Like, CV asked a great question at the beginning, but like you have to become mindful and you got to begin to practice this stuff. And literally when you wake up in the morning, the first two things you should do is be grateful for being able to wake up and say your word of the year. And if you just do those two things, you're actually making progress in your life because now you're going to become more intentional throughout the day. That's like the most simplest thing that anybody can do. Right? Say a quick thing. Michael Chernow, he actually said something that really resonated with me because it's something I don't do. Yes, I'm grateful every day for sure. But he said the first thing he does in the morning. Can you guess it, CV? The very first thing he does in the morning.
No, because I'm pretty sure I was there. He doesn't scream, does he? No.
No, he doesn't scream. But it starts with an S.
He simply...
He smiles.
Oh, he smiles.
He said... I smile from ear to ear. He says, sometimes I'm like a weirdo, but I literally open my eyes and I just smile because that's his check-in with himself. And he's like, yo, like I've been down this really bad path and now I'm here and I'm just grateful for the day. So starting your day with being grateful and then reminding yourself of the word of the year right there, that's going to set the intention for the day to move forward in a positive way. I think you just need to align the goals that you have in your life with that word by creating what we talk about all the time. SMART goals, specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and a timeline, right? Those actionable steps that you can take to begin to create your life that you've been wanting. You don't have to want it anymore. You can actually go get it. Stay focused on this. Remember, the word of the year is not a goal. It's a guiding principle. It's a touchstone for you to simply go back to every day and during times of difficulty, during struggle, during adversity. We don't have too much time to think in a moment when things are going hard, but we can easily remember, oh, wow, my word of the year is expand. Oh, wow, my word of the year is respect. My word of the year is control. These are simple, simple things that if you're really interested in doing, you need to apply it. Don't just listen to the message, actually apply it. It's a powerful, powerful, powerful tool for intentional living. And I think intentional living is something that everybody, all of us really want in our life. So now that you've had, and I'm talking to you, CV, the big ticket, the voice, Valenzuela. Now that you've had some time to ponder through this episode, do you, my brother, have a word of the year?
So I have a lot of words, but there is obviously one that I've been thinking about for a few months. So I guess this is the perfect time to make it more of an intentional. And I'm not going to lie, I asked that question in the very beginning of the show very specifically because I've noticed that when I have words, and I think, like I said, I think everyone does have, in a way, some kind of a direction they want to move. In the moment, I'll say what I feel, what I want, and in that moment, I feel like it's ingrained in me, it's inside my DNA, and I'm good to go for the year. But then what I've also realized that And I think you kind of caught me earlier when you asked me, do you remember what last year's word was? And I have no clue because at the end of the day, I don't remember what it was. I know I was intentional about it and whatever it was, but I'm sure as the life happens and the year kind of went on, I'm sure it just kind of went out the window. So I love that the tip of kind of writing in places, and I'm going to be mindful
the camera
about
on
that.
you.
Oh man.
As you introduce your
Oh
word.
man.
There
Hello.
you go.
Let me rock my little no snooze. Where is it?
There you go.
Where's the logo? Let's put the logo right there. But my word for 2025 is going to be resilient. Resilience, either one of those. I think it's an important word. I mean, it's very impactful for me through what I'm going through. But resilience to me means being able to kind of overcome adversity, kind of get out of. Bad things are going to happen. It's life. It happens, and just kind of working through it, getting yourself out of that, and keep persevering and working through whatever obstacles come your way, and just being resilient. You know, boxers are always resilient. They get punched, they keep going. You know, kids fall, they keep going. They get up, they keep
get
going.
knocked out, and
Right.
they keep going.
They keep going, and I think that's part of life. Life is about getting knocked down and then having to get back up and learning and figuring stuff out and moving forward. So, you know, I think it's a word it's touching close to home right now for me, and I want it to be the word. I think, and this is what I wanted to like articulate, and it's hard because this is not my forte, right? But I think being resilient, we're born with resiliency. When we're babies, when we're children, when we don't know anything better, we come with these set of like skill sets that we are innate in our bodies. I mean, you have a 4-year-old now, which is beautiful. By the way, I was thinking about that when you said that.
Crazy, right?
And it's crazy that, first of all, I've known Callie all of her life, and before she was even around, which just tells you how long we've been doing this podcast. But kids are resilient. Kids are learning. They're forever evolving until they kind of reach a certain age. And I think that's a beautiful thing. I think we all have that in us, no matter who you are. There's no child that kind of is born and it doesn't want to get better, doesn't want to grow, isn't just naturally growing and walking and crawling and learning how to speak and learning how to like everything, read and all these things. And I think as life kind of progresses, we get to adulthood, and I'm kind of skipping all of our youth and all the teens because it shows through there as well. But as we're getting older, we almost like learn to not be resilient. It's almost like whatever we learn from ages 0 to like 20, maybe 25, it's all that we have. And then from that point on, we start getting comfortable with our surroundings, with our settings, and you start kind of assuming that is what it is. So the resiliency part kind of starts fading away, and that's where you start seeing people that they're not reaching for their goals or not going for what they want, and kind of just succumbing to like, oh well, it is what it is. This is life. This is what it is. And I think we almost like work at unteaching that part of who we are as people. And that's not everybody. I think it's just a natural kind of thought. If you don't put thought into it, I think the people that are always like seeking to do more, they're forever like working on their resiliency, right? Because at the end of the day, resiliency means getting knocked down and getting back up. And I think for a lot of people, you get to a certain point where you get knocked down, you don't like getting knocked down, and maybe you stay down for a little bit longer because you're just afraid of getting knocked down again because it hurt a lot. And this spans the spectrum of everything of life, like from relationships to work to opportunities to decisions that we make. It's everything, you know? And that's kind of what I've realized, man, at least for me. Like, you know, I lived an entire life of youth and young adulthood and all that stuff, and always being resilient, always kind of battling, always having that kind of chip on my shoulder, like working, not getting knocked down. No problem. We get back up. And then you get to a point where you start getting knocked down, maybe at a higher level, because you always kind of level up. And then I'm feeling like, oh man, I need to dig for that resilience that once was so natural. You know, and you bring it back to sports. When we're all kids and playing sports, I mean, you get knocked down every single time. Every single time you miss a shot, every single time you get like knocked out on the ice or whatever it was, or somebody tackles you, or somebody just shows you that maybe they're better than you in that moment. But you don't stop. You keep practicing, you keep battling, and it's so natural for us in that stage as athletes. You're constantly doing that because you're constantly being challenged by an opponent, challenged by the new game, the new whatever it is, and you keep going, and then you lose. And I think that's what happened to me. I think once I stopped playing competitive sports, and I think it happens to a lot of athletes, you kind of lose that, like, I don't have to compete anymore because it's gone. That thought, that idea is gone. So you kind of get complacent with a lot of things, and you start to lose a little bit of that idea of resiliency. So long story short, to me, that's what it means to me. I want to become that resilient person that I know I am, that I know that I was, and just working on myself to persevere. I'm in a new chapter in my life, and there's a lot of new things, and there's a lot of new obstacles that we talked about before off camera that are uncomfortable and not my comfy space that I've probably known for the last 20 years or so. So it's my opportunity to put that word into action and be resilient and kind of continue persevering to overcome that. My 2 cents, my rambles.
No, listen.
2025 rambles.
No, I think it's great, man. Very relatable. I think very, very real. And, I think we shared on the podcast that you're on your entrepreneurial journey now, and you went all in now and doing content and, long form, short form, audio visual expertise.
So if you like what you hear and like what you see, hit me up.
No, man, I think that's super, super relatable. And even as you were saying it, I'm like shaking my head the whole time, like, yeah, baby. Yeah, this is exactly right. And even for me, like it was hitting for me. And there's always going to be these challenges, and everybody out there is going to have these challenges as well. So resilience is a great one. But now I am going to challenge you and hold you accountable because, I think accountability is huge. And, a great way to be accountable with this word for the year is kind of what CV and I just did, is just sharing your word of the year with somebody else. Putting it out there and not only just writing it, but telling your partner about it, telling your brother about it, telling your sister, your best friend.
Yeah, that's tough too.
Yeah, well, because you got to be honest.
It's a way to hide it, even if you're
for sure.
Yeah. So this is a big step for me.
Good.
We'll see if this airs.
We'll see. Listen, we'll see if you put it in. But no, I know you will. So thank you for that, my brother. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
I hope you got something out of today.
I love it. That was great.
Because that felt good to come in and, just have a conversation with myself. Sometimes it's hard to do a solo episode.
Hey, I'm here.
No, I know. But,
I know.
I had to come in because, I asked CV obviously to get involved whenever he wants. But, the reality is he listens too. Like he's doing what he's doing back there, but he's also listening to the message. So I had to come prepared to just chop it up with myself.
I think I listen more than the average listener, by the way.
I would agree. You're the reason for our increase in 81% streams. Thank you, my brother. So yeah, guys, listen, whenever you're listening to this, I think it's a great principle to apply. Thank you guys so much for the support in 2024. I'm really excited for where not only we're going in 2025, but for the listeners that are locked into this podcast, again, it's for a reason, right? You want more in your life. You want to do better. Let's do better. Stop saying it. Let's start moving. All right. As always, you can shop the latest merch at nosnoozeshop.com. And until next time, stop snoozing.
Get up and get after it.
Expand in 2025, baby. Let's get it. Thank you guys for tuning in. That's another epi in the books. You can follow us on Instagram at No Snooze Podcast and leave us a 5-star review wherever you listen to us. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, No Snooze. Shop the latest merch at nosnoozeshop.com. Come on.